Strap yourself in and get ready.
Hey, here we go.
The leaders in fantasy football are incoming, giving you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now listening to the Insight NFL Show with your hosts, Guns and Maverick.
Welcome to the NFL. Let's go. Let's go. Go.
Alrighty, and welcome to the Insight NFL podcast. Yep, if for those listening, Matt was just flashing his beer around. I'm your host, Nathan from Supercoach Guns, and with me, as always, Matt, aka NFL Maverick. Matt, how you going?
Cheers, mate. It's time. We're on the eve of the start of the season, mate. I'm fucking pumped.
Yeah, I've already smashed a beer down, and I'm trying to crack open a bottle of rosé later this evening to celebrate. NFL is here, deluxe. How good,
mate? I'm fucking pumped. I've got a big day at work tomorrow, but I don't really give a shit, mate. The game is going to be streamed live on my phone. I'll be active as all hell. Hopefully, no one at work's watching because that could be interesting. But anyway, yeah, we'll be going in live, mate, and I sort of want the Chiefs to win. It pains me to say it, but I think I do.
The Chiefs? Oh, come on.
Yeah, I know.
No.
It pains me. It pains me. But
what would possess you to cheer for them ever?
Yeah, I know. I'm not a big fan of Lamar Jackson, to be honest.
You take that back.
Yeah, he's a bit overrated. So until he actually proves something, then I'll start getting around him.
Yeah, okay. So
Lamar MVPs aren't enough.
Lamar Jackson was the original Anthony Richardson for me. He's still the number one in my heart.
If he goes and wins the Super Bowl this year, mate, I'll turn very quickly. But until then, mate, he's very overrated. So, mate, seriously though, fantasy season's here. I'm fucking pumped. Seriously, I cannot say it enough, but it's here.
I'm doing an internship right now at work, right? And so I'm hoping they give me some sort of boring, meaningless task to do for tomorrow, 8 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
I reckon I'll be, normally I'm able to do it in 4 or 5, but I'll stretch it out, a 3-hour break, watch the football, or listen to the football or whatever.
Yeah.
But tomorrow is going to be a very unproductive day for many, many NFL fans. I reckon there'll be a few people calling in sick as well. I was thinking about it, but I don't get paid if I call in sick. So
even Monday, mate. Even Monday, I'll be up at probably 2:50 a.m. sharp. It's going to be a long day. We're actually going live that night too, so I'm going to need some piss to keep me awake, I reckon.
Yes, because that's how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Waking up at 2:50. Jeez, it's trying to figure out whether it's worth it or not. Like obviously, 7 hours commercial-free football. Well, yes, please.
Yeah, it's hard because it's hard, mate. Like I just can't sleep. I just can't sleep, and I know there's players on the field ready to go. I just can't sleep, so I just wake up anyway. I probably don't even need an alarm.
Nah, you probably don't, but oh well. I'll quickly mention later on in the program we're going to cover start sits. Please do drop your start sit dilemmas for this week in the comments. We will get to them later. If we don't have enough, we've got a few in the back pocket for general audiences to listen to. But if we can answer some of your problems and help you solve them, man, that'd be good. Shall we get straight into the week 1 preview?
Yeah.
All righty. Well, straight off the top, tomorrow, 10:20, big game, biggest game of the round or the week or whatever term you like to use. Chiefs, Ravens, AFC Championship rematch. Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Kelsey versus Mark Andrews. Not even going to bother with the wide receivers, but a topic that we've discussed about at length is Pacheco versus Derrick Henry. Your team, Derrick Henry, from memory, and I'm team Pacheco. Are we still in the same camp? Do we still think Henry over Pacheco for you and Pacheco over Henry for me? Who do we prefer out of those two?
Yeah, I still prefer Henry. I think this guy's going to be a beast and a really good offense. So I mean, you can say the same thing for Pacheco, really, but Derrick Henry coming out across from the Titans. So, nah, mate, I think this guy's going to be an absolute weapon for him. It'll take some stress off Lamar Jackson. It'll, especially in his passing game as well. So, these guys both start your teams week one. It's no surprise about that at all. But I'm all on Derrick Henry this year, mate. I've tried to get him where I can. Haven't had much luck, but I'm not worried about age or anything like that. He's going to have a fantastic season.
Yeah, so I'm still Team Pacheco. I just don't think the signing of P. Ryan is going to be enough to. I don't think that's going to take away from passing down roles for Pacheco. I think he's a true 3-down back. Feel like that Samaje P. Ryan signing is more of a depth factor because they don't have a true 3-down back behind Pacheco. Having P. Ryan there who can cover some of the carries and do all the passing work and then just have Carson Steele do the rest. That's how I feel it plays out. But such a big workload. I understand Mahomes is an elite passer, but there are a lot of new connections to be formed. Hollywood Brown's out this week, which we'll get to shortly. Xavier Worthy, first rounder, but a rookie still nonetheless, and pretty raw, let's be polite. And then Rashid Rice could be suspended indefinitely at any given moment, right? And then there's Kelsey, who's aging. So there's still a world where Pacheco sees a little bit of passing down work or a fair bit of passing down work.
Well, this is my theory. Gus Edwards last year had 13 rushing touchdowns, right? 13 rushing touchdowns for a guy who wasn't even the number one going into the season. Like, Derrick Henry is so much better than Gus Edwards. It's crazy to think what this guy could actually do in a really good offense. So that's my thought process behind it. We don't really know yet because he hasn't played a snap with him, obviously. But most definitely, man. I've got Derrick Henry in for a big year. He could probably have 15, 16 touchdowns plus a lot of yardage on top of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I do think that when you look at Derrick Henry, like he's 30 years old, but he's a future Hall of Fame running back, right? I think that's hard to argue with, because he's a stud at Tennessee his whole career, absolute gun. Prime Derrick Henry was pushing, not quite Adrian Peterson levels, but not far off it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're talking about a true alpha. I don't reckon he regresses this year, though. In saying that, I just think Pacheco in a similarly high octane offense is going to be doing more. I think it's a simple case of if this is a PPR league, I'm taking Pacheco. If this is a non-PPR league, I think it's Derrick Henry. That's probably my answer.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. And I'm just looking as well as a for wide receivers for Kansas as well for tomorrow. Baltimore actually ranked as the fifth best defense against wide receivers last year for fantasy points. So obviously we had Hollywood Brown, which is going to be a bit of a struggle for him. It's going to be hard for outside of Kelsey, I suppose. I don't think you really start anyone from the Chiefs tomorrow at wide receiver, in my opinion. I would bench Rashid. I'd probably bench Rashid Rice. I think I would. I think Baltimore are going to have that revenge game tomorrow, and I'm hoping they do. I just want to see more out of them. But look, it's a big call because Rashid had a big game against them as well in the playoffs. So
I'd probably lean towards I'd start Rashid. I'd start Kelsey. I only wouldn't start Worthy. I don't think. I think just give him a week, see what he's like at this level, see if he's a 2 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown kind of guy, or just 2 catches for 70 yards. If he's just a deep threat merchant, then he becomes a much more volatile prospect. But if we're talking about a guy who will be used in every situation, then we're cooking with gas here in terms of Xavier Worthy. But yeah, Mahomes without Hollywood Brown against the top defense, they were on the podium for best defense last year. I probably had them as number one in my book, but that's up for speculation. Do we think Mahomes is just going to do Mahomes things and this is not going to be a concern? Or is there genuine worry that with a lack of peak receiving weapons, Mahomes might not have as big of a game as he usually does.
Oh, look, I think it's going to be spread around, to be honest. I think that's where I'm more leaning to. There's not going to be an alpha number one. Well, probably Kelsey will probably be that option, I reckon. But outside, we're talking wide receivers as such, I think it's going to be spread around. Pacheco wouldn't be too bad to start either. Obviously, you'd start him anyway, but I think he's in for a pretty good game himself. So, one to watch, mate. And even the Chiefs, like they ranked number 2 last year for fantasy points against as well. So, I mean, Zay Flowers is another hard one. Had a big game against them in the AFC Championship game. Had I think it was 5 for 113 and a touchdown from memory.
And it could have nearly been 2 if Snead didn't knock that ball out on the goal line too.
Yeah, and there you go. There's no Snead for the Chiefs, so it's going to be good, mate. I'd probably start Zay Flowers. I think he's going to have a big year, breakout year, and hopefully he goes to the next level for him because second year, why not?
Yeah, he was pretty solid last year. I think he'll follow that traditional curve of elite wide receivers. I think we'll see him and Jackson Smith and Jigba break out this year, and I think we'll see a third year breakout from Jordan Addison when we get McCarthy back next year. But just one final thing in this game. I mean, we get to see the running scheme of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. The read options are going to be impossible to defend, right?
Yeah, they will be. And rushing touchdowns are going to be through the roof, I reckon. I've always
I can see both
really
getting
rated
double digits.
Yeah, I just haven't really rated Lamar in the air, to be honest. So hopefully Henry just opens it up for him just a little bit. So we'll see.
And finally, are we starting Mark Andrews if you have him?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, we're heading over to Brazil. Packers, Eagles. This also a very, very good game. I think these two teams probably on paper evenly matched. Eagles might have the slight edge offensively. And let's talk about that. We have Lamar and Derrick Henry. That's elite. But I know that you're a Cowboys fan. This is going to be tough to admit. Saquon and Jalen Hurts is just as elite.
Yeah, they are. They are, mate. Unfortunately, we have to see Saquon again twice a year, so he stays in the division. So, it is, mate. It really is. I just want to note the game is on Saturday morning, so that's literally prime time for us Aussies. So I think it's a 10:30 start on Saturday morning, so that couldn't get any better. But mate, it's going to be elite. It's this rushing script there is pretty much going to be very similar to what the Ravens are going to show tomorrow, I reckon. It's pretty much 1A, 1B. Saquon's going early second round-ish in 1 QB leagues and late to mid for Superflex leagues. So, mate, he's going to have a massive, massive season and probably a much better offense than he's what he used to at the Giants.
Oh, man. He's going... I think it's RB4 or RB5 off the board. I don't mean to overreact, but he's actually a very genuine shot at the overall RB1 this year.
With no competition either.
With no competition, you could say that Jalen Hurts is going to do rushing touchdowns, right? And there will be some. But I don't think we're going to see... What did he have? 15 rushing touchdowns last year? I don't think we're seeing that from him. Because they didn't have good running back. They had okay running back play last year in DeAndre Swift. But in terms of power backs, they had no one, right? And so goal line carries were a big problem for them. And so I don't think we're going to see as many quarterback sneaks because they're going to try and preserve Jalen Hurts a little bit more. And why wouldn't you when you have a top 5 running back in the game in Saquon Barkley? Just use him in as many ways as you can and in the best ways you can. I'm thinking he's a proper smoky for RB1.
Yeah, look, absolutely is. The biggest question mark for me is does the tush push keep going on this year? I don't think it does. I think it's probably done. And it got found out late last year. So they probably move away from doing that, protect Hurts just a little bit more and keep him healthy for the postseason. Because what he did last year, obviously, he wasn't healthy when the playoffs came around. And they got to protect this guy. So, yeah. What I want to actually mention as well is on the Green Bay side of things is Josh Jacobs. He's going to be the bell cow early on in the year. He'd be starting, obviously, in every single league you can possibly put in. But he's a genuine chance for RB1 this week. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one.
It is. Sorry, I'm just reading Matrix's comment. I can't pull that up, but anyway, yeah, yeah. No, I think Jacobs is he's being slept on a little bit because he's been playing behind such an underwhelming Raiders O line. But I do think that we're going to see a really good year from Jacobs. Again, a lot of these running backs who have been in bad teams, they're going to good teams, and I think we're going to see a bit of a shock to how we rank running backs in fantasy football, right? I think we're going to see Jacobs jump into that really not just top 12, but like top 8, really push into a high end RB1 range because he's everything. I get they have Marshall Lynch. People are too high on him personally. Like Jacobs is the guy.
Well, Jacobs finishes like the number 3 or 4 last year, didn't he?
Oh, that might have been the year before. Or was he? No, he was the RB1 in 2022, wasn't he?
Yeah, he has a good year, bad year, good year, bad year, good year, bad year. So,
and I believe he had a bad year last year.
Sorry, it was the year before. It was number 3. So, yeah, no, look, he'll be all right, mate. He'll be all right. It's new offense. Now, let's also note the wide receiver 1 campaign down there as well. It's how do you predict that one?
You watch the game, and then whoever's looking the most involved, well, that's the one you prioritize during the week. I mean, we're going to be sitting here on Monday night with all the answers. Hopefully, you watch Matt LaFleur quite literally give everyone 4 catches, and that will just. Well, I mean, if that happens, you just don't have any. You just don't start any of them, do you? Unless it's,
Who would you start
really
if you had to pick one? Who would you start?
Christian Watson, because if he's got 4 catches, it's probably 100 yards. Knowing the style of player he is.
I'd start Jaden Reed. So there we go. We're already torn.
Well, I think Jaden Reed deserves more than 4 catches. But if they're all getting the same, I think Christian Watson probably ends up with more yards per catch.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard one, mate. And we'll soon see who the number one is there in probably a couple of weeks. But
yeah, I mean, like in an ideal world, we know Saturday morning, but they could do anything. Well, we've had 2 cracking games, so let's get this nightmarish one out of the way. The New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers, eh? This is where it belongs, Monday, 3 a.m. Bryce Young. Are we tipping a breakout season for Bryce Young?
Breakout? Possibly. I think he just gets back on track. I think people were jumping off that wagon very, very quickly and calling him a bust. I think that's very out there. But I think he gets back on track to just being a serviceable QB, maybe even higher than that. But breakout's probably a bit rich. We don't. It's hard to say, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you've got some good weapons there this year. Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette. Obviously, you have Jonathan Brooks coming back probably week 5, week 6 sort of thing. And then you've got the rookie Jatavian Sanders, right? So it's a young... The key parts of it are young, like your main running back, probably your long-term wide receiver 1 in Legette, and your long-term tight end 1. They're all pretty young, right? They're rookies. But they do all have reasonably high draft capital. Like Sanders was a 4th rounder, Legette a late 1st, and Brooks an early 2nd, right? So we're talking about proper projected NFL starters at the very least. But then you have the target machine and the catch machine that is Deontay Johnson there. And then a guy who's been doing it for so long, Adam Thielen, who is safe as houses, right? That offense is set up for Bryce Young to push for 3,500 passing yards. Whether or not it happens probably comes down to Bryce Young himself. There's not really any more excuses for him.
So I wouldn't start Bryce Young this week. The Saints are pretty good.
Nah. Well,
Even in 2 QB leagues, depending on what you've got in your bench, I don't think I would. The Saints are pretty good at containing them. They were at 14.6 fantasy points per game, which still is pretty good, but that was like top 8 in the league in points containing them. So yeah, look, I probably wouldn't, mate, to be honest, until I actually see Bryce Young go to that next level. Yeah, that's my opinion.
yeah, I mean, you might. I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, it just depends, and I suppose we can touch on that later. But it depends on if I'm looking at Bryce Young versus the Saints, we're talking as a whole, generally speaking, an average NFL defense, right? They're number 18 on my rankings. I think that's probably anywhere in those mid-teens is probably where I'd have them. I'm not sure what to make of this. I think you lean towards sitting just because you don't know what Bryce Young you're going to get. But if you're desperate, I think you'll be okay. You'll get away with some decent score, I reckon.
Yeah.
Now, as someone who has been talking up Alvin Kamara all season, how cooked do we think David? I don't even know what his name. Derek Carr is. There it is. And 2, what does this mean for Alvin Kamara? How many checkdowns are we going to see tomorrow or Monday morning?
Probably a few. Yeah, it's probably going to be at least 5 or 6, you'd think. Yeah, mate, he's going to absolutely love that. But look, at the same time, I want to see Derek Carr be better than serviceable. I know he's getting on an age a little bit now. He's like, 34? He's got Olave there. I really like Shaheed as well. I actually am massive on Shaheed. If he had a good QB, he'd go to the moon, I reckon.
He wouldn't be drafted in the 150s, 160s like he is. He'd be drafted.
He'd be top
He'd probably
100.
halve his ADP, right?
Yeah, easily. I really like him as a player. He's screaming out for just a half decent QB. But anyway,
As is Olave.
Yeah, same with Olave. Really, that's what's really holding them back to going that next level for fantasy wise. But look, Olave is still a must start. You'd think.
I think. Well, the Panthers I have as the worst defense in the NFL this year. The Cardinals are up there, and as are the Denver Broncos. But I just think losing Brian Burns, not really drafting on defense this season. I think
they're going to have no pressure on the QB.
There's no pressure on the QB. That probably helps Derek Carr a little bit because I reckon him getting through his progressions was some of the problem last year. He was a bit slow, and when he got pressured, I know I've just talked up Alvin Kamara, but when he got pressured, he's just like, okay, Alvin Kamara is kind of open. I'll give it to him, right?
Yeah.
And he'd only get 2 or 3 yards, and that was the beauty of Alvin Kamara last year. And I still think that will happen in most games. I could see it being not a one-sided game, but I do think the Saints win comfortably.
Should.
Yeah, they should.
Because
there's not much to get past on the defense for the Saints.
I just want to mention, and I just want to move on to the next game here. The Giants and the Vikings. 3 a.m. start. That could put me to sleep, that game, actually.
NFL Red Zone.
But I want to see this connection between Darnold and Jefferson. I'm really intrigued to see how this is going to go early. They've got a pretty good matchup against the Giants. I mean, I would just pepper him all day, personally, if I was a QB, and just throw it in his vicinity and he'll catch it. But yeah, I'm interested to see how this goes. Look, obviously, you don't bench Jefferson. There's no chance you bench Jefferson at all. But
no, never.
Darnold, if Darnold can make Jefferson look really good, then he could become fantasy relevant himself.
Yeah, it's not like he's got any competition really this year. Like, that's his job for 17 games. they're not going to start Nick Mullins unless they're actually tanking, which they could be at some point if Sam Darnold is really not that good. Because there's no defense that'll keep him in games. The defense is shot, right? They've lost Daniel Hunter. They've lost their starting corner to an ACL tear. Their corner depth is cooked as well. Like their whole defense is in bits, right? So there's not much there. And if you have a look at, what we're dishing up from the Vikings offense, it's Jetters, Aaron Jones, and then Jordan Addison, who could be also suspended at any given moment by the NFL.
I reckon he's going to play, right? But maybe he's got battling an ankle injury too.
He's got an ankle injury, and the NFL could pull him at any point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, but we're talking week 1, right? And week 1, I think the Giants have a pretty poor offense. They have a pretty poor offense and a pretty poor defense. At least the Vikings have some good pieces on their offense. I think this is a Vikings win. And I think Justin Jefferson, despite the quarterback play, probably still puts up 100+ receiving yards.
I'm not starting anyone not named Malik Neighbors on this Giants offense as well.
Tyron. Oh, I'd start. I'll tell you who I would start. I'd start Daniel Jones in a 2 QB league because he's a runner.
I don't think I would.
He's a runner.
I would. Off a knee.
Vanilla Vic.
Yeah, he lost me when he fell over against the Eagles. That's when he lost me on that. You can't tell me he's a runner when he slips over by himself.
Hey, it was 70 yards there before he slipped over.
There's a sniper in the stadium.
Yeah, there was. Yep.
But no, seriously, I would not start anyone, in my opinion, apart from Malik Neighbors. And Malik Neighbors is a must start. Malik
Neighbors, he is. He's a guy that I'd be comfortable starting just because.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Daniel Jones might attempt 20 passes. 10 of them will be targeted. They'll be targeting Malik Neighbors on 10 of those. Right.
Yeah.
No, I'd be okay. I'd be comfortable starting Daniel Jones this week. If I was really shot at quarterback, I'd be comfortable starting him because it's a bad defense he's playing. There's going to be opportunity. He's got a stud weapon in Malik Neighbors. Wanda Robinson, solid receiver. Darius Slayton, solid. Like he's got solid receiving weapons. Not amazing, but solid. Solid running back, but it's not pretty. Like, you know what I mean? Like none of this offense is pretty, other than Malik Neighbors. But there's going to be some rushing opportunities for Daniel Jones. He'll scrape together something in the passing game. I'm happy to start him.
All right.
And you know why I'm happy to start him? Because if we head over to one of our 2 matchups in Insight League, I believe is it the Dynasty of Insight? Yes. No, it's the this is great. This is great stuff here. It's the League of Insight where you and I are facing off week 1. And who's in my super flex spot? Daniel Jones.
Mate, I don't want to burst your bubble here, but we're actually playing each other in the League of Dynasty the Dynasty League and the Redraft League. Double header.
I know. Okay. You know what's going to happen, right? You know what's going to happen? One of us will win one, and the other one of us will win the other. And we won't be able to rip on each other tomorrow on Monday night.
Well, I hope I lose in the Dynasty League then, because I'm sort of rebuilding already. So
you're rebuilding already, and we drafted 2 weeks ago. That's good.
Yeah, I like that. That's my strategy. I always rebuild first.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm not in a position when my starting tight ends. Oh, my starting tight end's Hayden Hurst. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah, it's because I was a bit unattentive and drafted Hawkinson as my tight end 1. But in saying that, I have Lamar Jackson, AJ Brown, James Cook, Kenneth Walker, the RB1.
Yeah,
so
righto.
You're cooked.
Righto.
And Samaje Piron's there as well. But,
perfect. Bengals Patriots.
Oh, 3 crap games.
Well, I don't mind this game if Jamar Chase plays.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Do we think he's going to play? Sorry, do we think he's going to play?
I change my mind every day, but I think the news. Well, Well, I'm thinking he might after what I saw today. He was limited in practice out there. You don't practice for no reason. So he had the pads on the field. We'll know more tomorrow. But no, I actually think I think he will. I actually think he will.
I kind of hope that they give Jamar Chase his $140 million and one penny contract, just so I could see him earn one penny, and the social media reaction to that would be great.
Well, again, if you're a Jamar Chase owner and you haven't got the auto select on for emergencies,
Yeah,
um,
I might set that up tomorrow. Hey.
you might want to set your alarm for 2:55 because if he's not playing by 3 a.m., it's a donut.
Yeah, I might need. Yeah, I might wake up at 3 o'clock just to sort that out. So I'll set up the new auto sub feature, which I don't think we've spoken about on here, but we'll give it a quick talk about. Sleeper. If you're not using Sleeper as your fantasy football app, you're cooked, right? You need to be using Sleeper first of all. Second of all, they have an auto sub feature, which is a lifesaver for us Aussie guys. So we don't always have to wake up at say 2:30 to check any final updates. We can just have our auto subs filled in, where if a player doesn't play, we switch them out for a guy on our bench, and we set that up in advance. It's shaping up to be a life-saving feature and something that will save me, I know for a fact, at least 4 hours sleep. Right. So I'm hoping Jamar Chase plays, so that I don't have to set up that auto sub thing, but I will set it up regardless because then I'll sleep.
Yeah. No, it's fucking fantastic, that thing.
Yeah.
Seriously. But what do you do with the Bengals running backs, mate? There's Zach Moss, Chase Brown. Do you start them? Do you sit them?
I think you start Zach Moss if you're picking one. If you have to, you're starting Zach Moss because he will still get. I think regardless of how they split it, Zach Moss is still going to be doing the nitty gritty hard carries, right? There'll still be 10 or 12 of those to do. So that's at least something for Zach Moss, right? There'll be goal line work for him too, so there's a chance at a rushing touchdown. We could be talking 15 points for him potentially with a rushing touchdown in there, right? I don't think in saying that if I have the choice, I wouldn't be starting either. I'm not rushing to start Zach Moss, but if I'm picking one, I'm certainly starting him over Chase Brown because Zach Moss has actually accomplished something at the NFL level, whereas Chase Brown, he's had a 70-yard screen pass taken to the house, and that's it.
Yeah, I think it's a genuine committee, huh? I don't have any confidence at all starting them week one. Either of them, might I add, because we just don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
That's just how I'm seeing it. I'd have to give it till week 2, week 3, week 4 to actually see what happens first before I make a real decision on what I do with these guys. Look, Zach Moss might be exactly what you think he is. First down back, goal line carries. He might have 80 yards and 2 touchdowns on Monday morning, but until I see it, until I see that he gets goal line, until I see that he gets first down carries, I just can't get around it. And on the Patriots side, mate, I'm starting absolutely nobody, apart from maybe Ramondre.
Even then, I'm not a Ramondre fan of the slightest. He's not doing pass catching work with Antonio Gibson there. It's grim. I don't want any part of the Patriots this weekend.
Until you see some action from them. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the Arthur Smith Bowl, the Falcons Steelers. No Brandon Ayuk in Pittsburgh means it is George Pickens time. This is great news. We were talking about him ad nauseum during the preseason until the Brandon Ayuk rumors came up that he was being traded anywhere. It was going to be Pittsburgh. And so we were like, well, that's probably a formality, right? And then all of a sudden, Brandon Ayuk does the big 180 and he re-signs with the 49ers, right? Now we're looking at George Pickens in his third year, so third-year breakout, with, I'd still call it improved quarterback play, despite it being not great, because Kenny Pickett was bad. At
Mm.
least Russell Wilson put something up on the board last year, and Justin Fields has tons of potential. So you're getting solid enough quarterback play to support a high-level wide receiver. There's also no competition. And the ground game's a bit bleak from both Najee and Warren. Warren's
Mm.
slightly better, but slightly.
I'm a bit worried. Look, Russell Wilson, he'll support Pickens with long balls. It's going to be the intermediate pass where I think Russell Wilson's taken a step back in his career, and especially eating sacks as well. He moving it out of the pocket's not really his forte. He's got on an age a little bit, and he's a little bit washed in that regard. That used to be his game, man. Moving around the pocket, getting out of the pocket, and
Loved
playing
that.
that.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that at all last season. I don't know if that was maybe a Denver thing or he's just washed. But yeah, those are the two things that I'm worried about with Russell Wilson. But hey, George Pickens is going to eat up the long ball. Yards per catch, yards after the catch is really his forte. He can just pile them on. So, yeah, mate, he could go to the moon this year.
Yeah, so in terms of starting in week 1, I think he's a must start every week. He's almost fixture proof. Like, he's almost quarterback proof as well, we think, if he continues this upward trajectory in his career. Otherwise, I don't want to. I might start Jalen Warren just because he's a pass catching back in my flex spot. It should be solid enough. He should get double-digit fantasy points. Otherwise, yeah, not much on this Pittsburgh side for me.
Yeah, I agree. Falcons, I'm not huge on, to be honest with you, this week. I'm not massive on the whole Kirk Cousins coming back from Achilles at age 38, 39. I can't really get around that until I see some volume out of him. Obviously, Drake London's a starter, but yeah, like there's some rumors going around that Kyle Pitts is off a hammy or got some hammy strains. I can't get around that. There's also stuff going around about what's his name? Darnell Mooney breaking out. I can't really get around that. So I don't really know what to think about this Falcons offense. Obviously, Kirk Cousins is an upgrade over anyone they had. They paid him a bucket load, so it's not a bad. It's a pretty shit matchup for him too, actually. So the Steelers defense and TJ Watt are fucking great. So
Cam Hayward with a 3-year extension during the week as well.
Yeah,
it's a very good team.
It's hard. Yeah, it's going to be very hard for these guys to really put up some good fantasy scores in week 1.
Well, I mean, we have missed one name, Bijan. I think he's always a must start. We think he's going to be a top 5 running back, probably top 3.
Yeah.
I've got no problems with Bijan. Got no problems with Drake London. I'm not starting Kirk. I'm not starting.
But if the offense,
Pitts.
If the offense doesn't move this week, though, it's going to be hard for Bijan to make some yards.
Yes, but if Kirk's properly washed, there's just checkdowns galore, right? Either way, as a running back, as an elite running back, it's very, very hard to do bad, despite how poor the offense is, because there's so many ways you can score points.
Yeah, they'll find a way to be involved, but I don't know, man. I'm not really up. It's a hard week 1 matchup. It's really hard for them, so it's just going to be very interesting to see how they go.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's look at what I reckon is a big headline game. Colts-Texans. We're talking the number 2 and the number 4 overall picks last year. CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Very contrasting seasons. Obviously, CJ Stroud. Was he offensive rookie of the year?
Yeah, he was.
Yep, he was. And obviously, became instantly an elite quarterback year 1, which is very rare. On the flip side, Anthony Richardson, He was fantasy elite for the 4 games he played, but only made it to week 5,
Yeah.
right before he had a season-ending shoulder injury.
Do you know he played
So,
Texas last year?
yeah, we didn't get that big game, but against the Texans, and my favorite stat of all time, 17.7 fantasy
Yeah.
points in 18 snaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, what I'm saying is he's going to score 60 fantasy points. No. It's going to be a good game. I think that whole those two battling it off against each other, that'll be great to watch. And both teams have stacked wide receiver rooms, but none more so than the Texans, who have Stephon Diggs, the alpha Buffalo wide receiver one for the last 5 years, Nico Collins, who put up monster numbers for the Texans last year, and Tank Dell, who emerged from, to be polite, emerged from nowhere and became equally important to this offense. They've upgraded at running back. They went from boring old missionary Devin Singletary to doggy style Joe Mixon. Thanks for that. And I think we're talking really like a top 5 offense this year in Texas or Houston.
Mate, this game is going to be fucked. Like, seriously.
It's so good.
This is like elite week 1 matchups.
34-30 sort of areas.
Yeah, we're talking some like high scoring sort of crap. This is bulk start everyone that you've got in these teams, I reckon, because none of these defenses are elite. They're probably average at best.
The Texans one's solid. Like you're talking Daniel Hunter, Will Anderson, Derek Stingley. Like they've got some pieces, but it's still new and it's still combinations, right? It's
sort of middle of the pack. So I'd start, and same with the Colts, man. Like Colts are middle of the pack too.
Yeah, Colts is a young defense as well. I think that they'll get better as the season goes on. I think both teams' defense gets better as the season goes on, but week 1, I think this has got points galore. This is a slugfest. This is going to be great to watch.
If you own any of the Colts fantasy relevant players, and same with Texans fantasy relevant players, I'd start every single one of them.
Schultz, you're starting Dalton Schultz?
If you need to, if he's your best tight end in your roster, yes. But not if he's not. But anyone else, man, like Mitchell, AD Mitchell is another one. Look, he's a rookie first game, so it's pretty hard to say you can start him. But if you have to, I think you'll have a good game anyway. So, yeah, like just smash that everyone. If you have Tank Dell, if you have Stephon Diggs, if you have Nico Collins, hopefully you don't have 2 of those 3. But
that's criminal. Why would you draft 2 of those 3 in the first place?
Yeah, no, you just don't do that. But because you own them, start.
Yeah, because that means you've gone out of your way to select Nico Collins in the 3rd, and then Stephon Diggs in the 4th, or Tank Dell in the 5th. Like,
it'd be stupid.
That's
but someone out there would have that. Someone will have that.
But if they're a Texans fan, it's kind of forgivable.
Yeah, but mate, it's gonna be amazing. This game, I'm keen to watch it. 3 a.m. start. I'll probably get up to watch that game alone.
Yeah, now talking about this game's got me pumped. Well, let's quickly. I know we've talked a lot about the Texans wide receiver one. Off the top of your head, are we in agreement it's Nico Collins?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Do we think Tank? Yeah, you go.
Well, I'm not in agreement that it's Nico Collins for the whole season. I think that
you think Tank Dell emerges.
I think they all emerge in different weeks. If they're going to disappoint you, these guys, that's going to be the problem.
They're not going to be consistent. I reckon. Probably.
They'll have 1 week. Yeah. They'll have 1 week they go for 25. They'll have 5 catches for 100 yards and a couple of touchdowns or something like that. And then next week they'll have 2 catches for 25 yards, while the other ones go off. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's
then
as
Noah Brown will emerge from nowhere and still have 150 receiving yards in a game, even though he plays with the Commanders. He'll still do it. I
was gonna say Robbie Woods,
but Robert Woods, John Mechie, he could do it.
Yeah.
Or wild Xavier Hutchinson.
This game's fun. Anyway, this is so fun.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Another game which I'm equally excited for, Bills Cardinals, right? We get to see Marvin Harrison Jr. in the NFL with Kyler Murray, with Trey McBride, with James Conner. Like, that's a good offense that the Cardinals have there. Like, there's 4 key guys. They can do, if they can do 75 to 80% of the offensive lifting, and Michael Wilson can take a step forward in his career just from a borderline starter to a starter, we're talking about a sneaky good offense and a sneaky good, not a sneaky good team because that defense will let them down, but they're always going to be throwing the ball. They're going to be going forward because of that defense. I think we're going to see.
Script.
I really do think Kyler can push top 5 quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
If the defense doesn't stand up, which sounds weird, but you understand what I mean.
Yeah, mate. They'll probably win like 4 or 5 games this year, and that's probably based on their offense. Their defense is crap, man. Seriously, that like if you have any, like maybe James Conner's probably the exception because if it's negative games, they're not going to run the ball. So
well, he'll still have catches.
Yeah, maybe.
He's the bell cow. They said it.
Maybe.
They said it.
Trey Benson still exists.
Well, he's irrelevant. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see about that, mate. But on the Bills side of things, mate, these guys, again, it's probably hard to say, but James Cook is a must start. He would be anyway, but he's going to, he could be a top 3, top 4 RB this week alone because he's going to have plenty of opportunity.
Yeah, I think, we don't really know who this alpha wide receiver 1 is at the Bills. We don't know if there is going to be an alpha wide receiver 1. We know that Dalton Kincaid will be fairly involved. We know that James Cook's a noted pass catcher out of the backfield. So based off what we know, let's safely assume that James Cook and Dalton Kincaid are the main guys in the pass catching. Obviously, you've got Khalil Shakir, who's now being thrust into what I would say is the wide receiver 1 role off the top of my head. It could be Keon Coleman by the end of the season, but to start, I probably give the guy with NFL experience, the wide receiver 1 gig. But this is an interesting offense. James Cook is possibly my favorite part of this offense that's not named Josh Allen, though.
The Cardinals were the worst defense against running backs last season. They averaged 22.8 points per game against running backs. They were 5th in touchdowns and the worst team against fantasy running backs last year. So, mate, I'm all on James Cook to go fucking mega.
You're all on James Cook.
Yeah, this week I am.
Oh, that's good. Oh, look, you're not going to believe this. I have James Cook in our Dynasty of Insight.
Yeah,
matchup.
Your team's still shit outside James Cook.
Lamar Jackson to your Joe Burrow, please, I've beat you there. Kenneth Walker to Etienne, please, got you there. AJ Brown to Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's your wide receiver 1. Please, got you there. Amari Cooper, not future Hall of Famer, elite wide receiver to T. Higgins, the man that couldn't even get himself a contract extension. Got you there. Hey, okay, skip tight end. Doesn't matter. I've got you covered this week.
Fucking hell. You want to lose then?
If I lose, I lose. I'll still cop it regardless.
Yeah. But no, seriously, mate. James Cook's the one this week. And that defense is horrendous at Arizona. So, yeah. Anyway. Bears-Titans, mate. Bears-Titans is going to be... I'm going to enjoy this game, just the fact that I really am on top of... Well, I shouldn't say that, but Will Levis is going to have a big year for me this year. I was going to say, Will Levis has been circling on the internet, so I don't want to get around that. It hurt someone.
QB1. I know what you're talking about, and he's QB1.
Yeah, so this game's going to be mega, man, seriously. Bears-Titans, Caleb Williams debut, Will Levis breakout season potentially. We'll soon find out. D-Hop's going to be playing, they reckon. Calvin Ridley, new team, whole new offense at the Chicago Bears. We don't really know who is going to be, well, I guess the wide receiver 1. You'd think DJ Moore, but they've got Ken Allen and Dunze still in the house. So they'll have their weeks. So yeah, mate, it's gonna be a really fun game to watch, I reckon.
Yeah, I think what stood out for me is the Ty J Spears versus
That one's
Tony Pollard battle. Um, I do think that when we look at Ty J Spears, he's probably the RB2. I think I know that they're identical players. He'll feature, but to say that Tony Pollard isn't the lead guy, I think that's a bit harsh. I think he will be the lead guy. I also think Tony Pollard is better suited to being not the true alpha RB1 on the offense. I think having him being spelled out with someone else means that he's not doing as much work and he can still be more efficient and put up numbers that way. I don't mind. If you had to pick who you think will be the Titans RB1, are you going Ty J Spears or Tony Pollard?
Probably Pollard.
Yeah.
Probably Pollard. I'm not confident by saying that, but they signed him for a reason. You lose Derrick Henry, so if you really like Tajay Spears, then he just goes into the RB1 spot, right? So
yeah.
And then you sign someone of a lesser value to complement Tajay Spears. But you don't go out and just sign Tony Pollard and go, all right, Tajay Spears is our number one RB. So I think it's Tony Pollard. But do you start them? I don't think I would. Neither of them.
I'd be okay starting Pollard. I certainly wouldn't start Spears because you just don't know how involved he'll be. But Pollard's had enough evidence that he will be at the very least efficient with what he gets, and so I think you'll scrape together a solid enough score.
Okay. I'm really keen to see this Bears team, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bit of showtime in the preseason for Caleb Williams, but we'll now see him for 4 quarters and seeing what he can actually do. So, yeah, I don't know what to really expect. If he goes Burko week 1, then fucking hell, we've got the next superstar really ready to go.
It's not going to be long until we get the Mahomes comparison, I reckon. It's just a very similar playing style, similar sort of polarizing figure. Yeah. Well, we'll probably move off that game and we'll move into a game which I think it's very evenly matched. Make sure I've got the right game here. Yeah, I do. Dolphins Jags. I think these two teams will be pretty similar in terms of where they finish record wise this year. I think you've got okay defenses on both sides, but you do have electrifying offenses like Travis Etienne. You know, he's a stud 3-down back. You've got Brian Thomas Jr., who he could be the wide receiver 1 there by season's end.
Yeah.
And then of course, the regular cast of Evan Engram, Christian Kirk, and then although he's not amazing, he's still a very good deep ball threat in Gabe Davis, right? Like he's not good at the intermediate stuff, but he's a good deep ball guy. And then you look at the Miami Dolphins: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon A-Chain, Raheem Mostert. However, Tua, I'm going to say he's not bad, but he can have his moments. That's probably what's holding them back, consistent quarterback play. But I'm very excited for this game.
Mate, another game that's really going to pop off. Just another one. But yeah, mate, I think Gabe Davis is going to complement Brian Thomas really well. He stretches the ground out of the floor as such, but he's going to stretch the defense right out. So Brian Thomas will just have one-on-ones all day. So, and this guy's a big, big physical receiver. So he's going to have his 40, 50-yard gains. To throw it deep to him, he'll fucking go and get it. So I'm keen to see how they use him. Hopefully he's just not used as a long ball intermediate option. Gets involved in the short game as well. But yeah, that's going to be very intriguing to watch. I've got here in your notes, A-Chain versus Mostert, the battle for RB1. Again,
Yeah, I think it. I think despite where everyone's drafting, I think you still lean towards most it being the RB1. But I think it's closer than what it was last year. I think we're looking at Devon A Chain. I'm sort of expecting him to get, you know, double digit carries every game this year. Um, whereas he was getting that very sporadically last year.
Mm.
If he's getting double digit carries, he could still have 60, 70 yards. Such is the nature of Devon A Chain. And then on the flip side, I think he's probably the better pass catcher, but they will use most of as well in the
Yeah.
pass catching. If you drafted Raheem Mostert, well done. That's all I'll say because he's not going to be nothing in this offense.
Mm.
However, you still do have Jalen Wright, who they're committed to using in some capacity.
Mm.
I don't know how they're going to use him, but hey, that's what we'll find out week one, just how true to his word Mike McDaniel's is.
Special teams.
Special teams, I reckon he'll feature a little bit in the backfield.
Probably. Yeah. Tyreek Hill is going to go Burko this week, mate. He's going to have a big, big week. That's not really a big call, but the Jags are pretty crap in stopping the pass. So, yeah, Tyreek's going to go big, and so was Jalen Waddle, mate. I think he's getting undervalued. I still think he's undervalued, mate. He's banged up last year. He was still a 1,000-yard receiver. It's just more.
He had a hamstring injury all preseason, didn't he?
Yeah, it's all right. Sort of.
Banged up.
Sort of. But now Jalen Waddle's still a very good receiver. I think last year everyone was off him a lot. The year before, mate, he was going for like first rounders for galore in dynasty leagues. So, yeah, no, I think he's fine, mate. I think he's fine.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned. I'm just messing around, but no, I'm looking forward to seeing that Dolphins offense again. All right, it's time. The Seahawks Super Bowl run is about to begin. We've got the Broncos week one. Pass heavy offense. I'm looking forward to seeing DK Metcalf put up massive, massive numbers because it will happen. DK Metcalf finishes in the top 12. I've made my mind up.
Yeah, I can see that. The Broncos are sort of mid-tier in terms of wide receivers against in fantasy points last year. So
Yeah, but like they've just lost Justin Simmons.
yeah. As I
I
said,
think we're talking Patrick Surtain, and that's it in their secondary.
it's just
I'm a big fan of this matchup for the Seahawks. I reckon you'd start all your Seahawks guys, really.
so Satan will go to DK.
Well, maybe.
He should,
but you never know.
Um,
Then you've got JSN, you got Lockett, you got Kenneth Walker,
you
Gino's
start
got
JSN?
dreadlocks. I'd start JSN, yeah.
I would be
I
confident.
just think if you're right that Patrick Surtain does guard DK, there's going to be some bum corner that's going to be on JSN, and he'll make him pay in his second year.
So if DK goes off for 20 points, for argument's sake, I can see JSN going off for like 7 or 8 points.
Yeah, yep. But then DK's got to get 20 points against Patrick Surtain,
Achievable.
the highest paid defensive back in NFL history.
Yeah, achievable.
Yeah, but not something I'm willing to bet on. So I still lead towards JSN having a moderate to big game.
Javonte Williams, I'm starting him this week wherever you can. I don't really rate the Seahawks defense this year, mate. I'm not a massive fan.
Legion of Boom 2.0.
Yeah, not a huge fan. Now, Javonte, does he have his comeback season that we're all asking for him?
No.
Maybe. But
Maybe.
I like the matchup for him, mate. I really think
I
that
don't.
he's going to be probably 12 to 14 points this week.
Byron Murphy's going to catch him 3 times in the backfield. There you go.
No, he's not.
Bias, but I'm right.
But anyway, yeah, no, look, we'll see what happens. Do I think it's going to be a backfield split? No. I think it's going to be Javante goal line carries and first downs with a few check downs to go with it because that's what Sean Payton loves.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm thinking it'll be. I think Estime will actually get goal line carries because he's that sort of bruising back. I think Javante will see a lot of the between the 20s sort of stuff. And Jaleel McLaughlin is your change and pace and pass catching guy.
There you go. There you go.
Chargers Raiders. It's Zamir White season. I'm looking forward to this.
Yes.
3 down back Zamir White. That's at least what's been projected and talked about. Is it going to eventuate, or is Dylan Law going to really eat into the passing down work, or is Alexander Madison going to do something stupid and emerge from nowhere?
It's a really good matchup for Zamir White. I don't think it's going to be a committee style week 1. I think it's going to be Zamir, see what you can do for us and tell us that you're this good and we've been sitting on the bench for a year for no reason. Law still really raw. So we'll see how he goes. But yeah, mate, I think Zamir White's going to be the bell cow just for this week. He's probably one of the must starts, I'd say, for the week, Zamir White. So yeah, I'm pretty confident by saying that.
Yeah, fair enough. The Chargers, their offensive scripts, it's all the talk is about it being run heavy. Just how run heavy will it be is, I guess, the question we're looking to figure out in week 1. We think that they're going to give J.K. Dobbins something. Gus is going to get a fair bit, and who knows if they give anything to Kamani Viddle. And then the passing game, Lad McConkey and Josh Palmer, and that's it, probably. And even then, Josh Palmer might not be much.
I wouldn't start any of them this week.
I'd start Gus.
Would you?
Yeah, I reckon he's a touchdown machine. I reckon there's one for him here.
Yeah, look, probably. Look, you're probably right. He probably will score a touchdown, but they've pretty much said that this is going to be a massive committee. Run heavy offense, but a committee as such. J.K. Dobbins, man, like off his was it Achilles last year? It was Achilles last year.
Yeah, it was.
Straight back into the action.
Yeah, not really sure. I've got to see what we get from J.K. Dobbins before I overreact or otherwise. For now, he's still firmly the RB2. Gus Edwards is a very good power back. And you know, you can use either one of J.K. Dobbins or Viddle for pass catching, but yeah, I'd still be starting Edwards if I have to pick one. McConkey, not bad either. I think he's probably going to get enough volume himself.
Do you start any of the wide receivers there, though?
I'd probably start McConkey.
Confidently?
No, not confidently, but I'd start McConkey.
I benched them all this week, unless you had to start one. Well, if you had to start based off where your list is at, then you're probably in trouble. Early on, anyway, I don't think I'd start McConkey. I can't trust what this offense is going to look like. Herbert has been very limited in training camp in a run-first offense. I can't get around that. Again, it's one of those until you see it, you believe it sort of thing. So, I wouldn't start any of them in week 1.
Yeah. Now, the Browns and your beloved Dallas Cowboys. Amari Cooper revenge game.
Yeah.
Nervous?
Well, Browns should be favourite.
Well, should they?
Yeah, probably.
How come?
I think they're a better team.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. At home, too.
Well, at home, yeah, but they've got Deshaun. and no Nick Chubb. Like
They got Miles Garrett.
they got Myles Garrett though, yeah. And Denzel Ward. Like they got some good players on defense. A couple of good linebackers knocking about there. I think Amari Cooper will have a. Well, it depends, right? Like if you've got Trayvon Diggs on him, like he'll. I feel like that'll be a good contest. Amari Cooper and Trayvon Diggs. I get Trayvon's just coming back from an ACL, but he's still intercept king, right?
He's not lockdown though.
He's not a lockdown, so I think there's a touchdown there for Amari Cooper. But I also think that
no Bland.
If Bland's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, no Bland. Yeah,
no Bland. Yep. They've got that rookie who they've talked up a lot at corner. I can't remember his name, but yeah. Look, outside of Amari Cooper, the Browns don't have much at wide receiver. Jerome Ford, can he handle a 3-down workload? No, but they're going to give it to him anyway. David and Joku and Amari Cooper are your main concerns. You shut them down, Cowboys win. But, you don't have... You've got an okay linebacker room, but not an amazing linebacker room. Obviously, Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence are going to put tons of pressure on the quarterback. But, otherwise, it's going to be a close game, I feel. Pretty close game.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty evenly matched.
It's going to be interesting to see how CD Lamb goes. No training camp, signed a new deal. Hasn't had many reps, to be fair. Well, of note, should I say, anyway. So, pretty good defense against the Browns. Obviously, you start CD Lamb, you just start your best players. It's obviously, plain obviously, you do that. But, he might be quiet week 1, mate.
Yeah, he might be. That would be it'd be a bit concerning. They've got a decent secondary, the Browns. So
yeah,
they could lock him down. Very good defense actually as a whole. But this will be a good game. Bucks Commanders, Jaden Daniels debut. I'm excited to see how they work in design runs for Jaden Daniels because I think if he blows up on the run, watch out. There could be a massive steal of the quarterback position.
Is he a must start in his first game?
Yeah.
I agree.
I'd start him with confidence, actually.
And you know what? I'm the same with McLaurin too. I'm a must start at McLaurin this week. They've pretty much said they want to use him in different formations and different spots on the field, which I love, might I add. I think he'll predominantly work in the slot, to be honest, and be that go-to short option for Daniels but maybe just for the start of the season, just to get him some time and just a quick slant option right there. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
And just pepper him. So, look, he could have 8 for 80.
It'd be great, wouldn't it?
Oh, fucking oath. He could have 8 for 80, just a short little pass game. So, look, on the Bucks side of things, I would be absolutely starting all of the Bucks wide receivers, Godwin, Mike Evans. They are horrendous against the pass. The Commanders last year, and they have not gotten any better in that regard. So
they've probably gotten worse.
Yeah, and Godwin's a must start. Obviously, Mike Evans would be anyway because would be one of your better players. But Godwin, if you've got Godwin, you'd probably get him in the 6th, 7th round. Must start.
Yep. The running back room at the Commanders. What are we talking there? How are they splitting it? Are you starting any of them? If so, who?
No. I'm benching both of them until I see what I can get. Look, if you're in a position to start either of them, you're in trouble. But I wouldn't start any of them, mate. No chance.
Yeah, fair enough. Now let's get to the 2 primetime games. Lions, Rams. The big talking point there. Blake Corum versus Kyron Williams. One's doing punt returns, the other's doing kick returns. Is Ronnie Rivers the running back number 1 on this team?
No. Look, Kyron Williams is the guy. I'm still confident by saying that Sean McVay will use Blake Corum. He will.
Oh yeah,
There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. And Blake Corum is a 3-down back. He can do the passing game. He can do the running game. He can do it all. But Kyron Williams to start off with, he will use him as the RB1. Goal line carries, first downs. He'll be the featured back, in my opinion. And I'll confidently say that.
yeah.
As the season goes on, it's a question mark, but for week 1 anyway.
And
it'd be
you're
Kyron
happy to
Williams.
start him week 1, definitely,
Yes.
Kyron Williams?
Yeah.
Yes. Blake Corum, your city?
Definitely.
Just as always, if anything happens to Kyron Williams, Blake Corum's like a top 5 running back,
Oh,
just with the volume. Like,
one of the best handcuffs you can get.
yeah, him, Jordan Mason, Braylon Allen, and Tyler Algier. They're probably my favorite handcuffs because they're all backing up elite running backs. And with running backs, it's all about volume. There's talent, but if you've got tons of volume, you can be an RB1.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good or bad you are. Right. Jameson Williams, obviously, we're looking at a third-year breakout. Well, he needs a third-year breakout for his career. Finally had a full preseason, no interruptions, no injuries. Is it Jamo time?
No.
Not week
No.
1?
He's not fantasy relevant week 1.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, look, if he does, you're going to bench him still. Look, I'm in a league a Dynasty League one I had, where I actually own Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Laporta. And I start all 3 of them every week. I actually won the championship last year starting them. So
Not surprised.
Yeah. And like you can confidently start those 3. I know they're going to have weeks where they score 8 points. They're going to let you down.
Amon-Ra probably won't.
Amon-Ra won't. Gibbs probably won't either. It's just Laporta.
Yeah, Gibbs might have a week if they're well and truly in the lead, and it's just a grinding David Montgomery game.
Yeah, possibly. I will say this though.
What you mean.
I will say this though. If you're going to go back on Kyron Williams, they played the Lions were the best defense against running backs last year, so it's one to watch as well.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Mm.
All right, final game. Let's do this one nice and quick. 49ers Jets. Another amazing primetime game.
Ooh.
Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers in Monday Night Football. Yet to happen, despite Aaron Rodgers being on the roster for over a year. Let's hope we actually do get Aaron Rodgers playing the full game this time around.
Yeah.
And we actually get to see the thing I've been fantasizing about for a year and a half, and that is Garrett Wilson with Aaron Rodgers.
He's like craving a good QB, isn't he?
And it's just crying out for it because, again, it's another case of third-year breakout for Garrett Wilson. You could argue that he broke out in his rookie season, but I don't think that's the ceiling. I think we're going to see something special from Garrett Wilson this year. Like 1,500 plus is my prediction.
Hopefully. He's good enough to do it. I'm going to put it out there, mate. I'm benching Brock Purdy this week if I've got him in any leagues. I think that, the Jets were one of the best teams in the league last year for defense.
And they've gotten better.
And yes, they have gotten better. But, McCaffrey off this injury, we don't know how he's going to be. Is it precautionary? Maybe, probably. Ayuk hasn't had any sort of training camp at all.
And there could be no Trent Williams as well.
No, yeah, possibly. So it's Debo and Kittle. So yes, against the best defense in the league, I probably would bench Purdy.
Yeah, I would well and truly as well. Okay, that's the games. Let's talk a little bit about start sits. We haven't had much come through, so we'll address the one that has. Xavier Worthy or Brian Thomas Jr. Half PPR. Well, I don't think the receptions are going to matter. I think they're pretty similar style players, particularly early on in their career, but I'm taking Brian Thomas.
If you had to pick one, it's Brian Thomas, yeah.
I just think, he'll be definitely more involved. There's a chance he has more catches, and I'm not. Yeah, like that's quite literally it. As well as Thomas having a better matchup than Worthy.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, if you may have heard we have a Patreon here at Insight. Okay, and well, the NFL stuff. Unfortunately, the launch of the Patreon didn't really coincide with NFL preseason, so there's no content for NFL on there right now until something that will be going up there this evening, the start sit calculator. I've been working on that for a little bit. It takes into account rankings of defenses across the league. I've broken each of the top tier players. When I say top tier, I'm talking primary starters on each team. I've broken them into tiers for fantasy rankings. For quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. I've done it for all of them. We're now looking at, I've come up with formulas for the calculations. You can have access to this simply by subscribing to our Patreon and subscribe to the NFL Patreon section in the Insight Fantasy Sports Patreon. So go on there, sign up. It'll be up today or tomorrow. And yeah, you might get it for the first game, but if not, you'll certainly have it for the rest of the slate of games this weekend. It's really good, and yeah, it's certainly helped me so far. I've made a few starts and decisions with it, and the numbers match the logic in my head, so I'm pretty happy with how that's panned out. You're laughing. I know this is really nerdy, but
No, this is like your
people love it.
your try map for the NRL.
Oh,
It's fucking great,
mate. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's my brain baby for the NFL.
Yeah, it's fucking great. I had to squiz it before, and mate, it's fucking pretty good.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyway, we're gonna do a couple of start sits, and then we'll wrap it up there. Let's see. Let's look at quarterbacks first. I mean, we touched on how Brock Purdy is a rough matchup. You've probably drafted Brock Purdy as your quarterback 2 in a super flex league, let's say. If you've got a quarterback 3, you wouldn't have spent high capital on it. It's someone like a Will Levis, a Bryce Young, or even a Derek Carr if it's really grim. So let's compare those guys. If you're picking one out of Brock Purdy against the Jets, Bryce Young against the Saints, and Will Levis against the Bears, who are you taking?
Mate, I want to give you one more on top of that. I'm taking Matt Stafford.
You're taking we'll throw Matt Stafford in there, or is that your decision? You're taking Matt Stafford?
Yeah, it's 100% my decision, taking Matt Stafford.
All right. So you've got Matt Stafford, then
Matt Stafford,
then who? Let's say you don't have Matt Stafford.
Probably Will Levis.
Levis, okay. I won't test it out, but you get the idea. It's a good calculator. It'll come up with your results. All you enter in is the defense. I should explain how it works rather than just say I've made it. You enter in the opposition defensive ranking out of 32. If you don't agree with my defensive rankings, it's very easy just to plug in your own rankings. Same for the players as well. Like you can alter it to suit you. At the end of the day, I've just put something in there that you can look at and use as a reference if you relatively agree or whatever. If you don't, be my guest. You'll get a copy of it. You can edit it to your choosing for you. But you enter in your opposition defensive ranking. So let's say I'm Will Levis. I'm playing the Chicago Bears, who are ranked on here as number 16. I think that's kind of fair. I'd say they probably have a middling defense at least to start the year. And the quarterback ranking for Will Levis is number 22, right? But because I've put it in tiers, he goes into tier number 5, right? And so I get a number, and yeah, I won't tell you what the number is because otherwise you can figure out the formula. But yeah, you can put it all in; it'll sort itself out.
So what was that? QB 22.
QB 22 in my ranking.
Is a QB 2 this week? There you go.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Not bad.
It's not bad. Oh, yeah, he's a QB too. Okay, let's look at running back now, and I'll try not to get distracted, I promise. We've sort of had a look at. We're not sure what to do. I know I keep talking about the Titans. We're not sure what to do with the Tony Pollard, Ty J. Spears dilemma. You're leaning towards seeing them. I'm leaning towards starting Pollard. Well, let's say you've got Pollard. He's probably your RB2 or RB3, right? If you're benching Tony Pollard, you're sort of looking at someone like a Javonte Williams or a trying to think of someone off the top of my head and around as
Zamir
Zach
White?
Moss, Zamir White. Even they're probably could be. You could probably throw Zamir White in there, and that decision's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Zamir every day of the
I
week.
would take Zamir. Well, actually, honestly, Zamir and Javonte are both really good starts this week.
Yeah, not bad. I'm not as high on Javonte as you are, but it's,
No. Zamir is number one and Javonte number two. Like it's yeah. I was doing both.
And then we come to wide receiver. So we'll use Xavier Worthy as the example. Actually, will we? Yeah, no, we will. Xavier Worthy, right? He's probably a wide receiver 3, so you're looking at a flex spot. But for the sake of this, we'll keep it in the wide receiver position, shall we? You've drafted him as your wide receiver 3. Your wide receiver 4, you're looking at guys like, Khalil Shakir, Rashid Shaheed, or, even a bit further up the chain, AD Mitchell or, help me out here. Who's someone that you've got off the top of your head?
Mate, honestly, like Shakir would be a really good start.
I think Shakir would be the guy I'd start if I was looking to bench Xavier Worthy, because
Shakir would be a really good start.
He feels safe. He feels safe enough. He may not be elite, but I feel like you're going to get 4 or 5 catches for 50, 60 yards.
Bad defense as well. He's coming up against in the Cardinals, so I really like that one.
Yeah. And last but not least, okay. Last but not least, let's have a look at Brock Bowers. Okay, we haven't spoken about him much this preseason. He will be a few people starting tight end, but are you starting him against the Chargers as a rookie with Gardner Minshew at quarterback? Not confidently, right?
God, no.
No. So, who are some alternatives? You're looking at guys like Ben Sinnott, Luke Musgrave, Pat Freiermuth, even a Dallas Goedert as well.
I'm starting Dallas Goedert.
You're starting Dallas Goedert. I'm starting Ben Sinnott just because I'm on the Ben Sinnott bandwagon.
Nah, Dallas Goedert, mate. 100%.
Yeah, probably in reality.
Yeah.
That'll do us, I think. Hour and 23 minutes. We've talked your ears off. Football is back. Big time. I can't wait for it. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this season. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Whew. Mate, I don't know if I can keep my jocks on much longer.
Well, it doesn't sound like Benny wants you to. Anyway.
No.
All good. All right. Thanks for listening. I will endeavor to have this start sit calculator on the Patreon tonight. Just search up Insight Fantasy Sports on Patreon. It'll come up easily. You'll have no problems. Make sure you give Matt a follow on Twitter. I'm on Twitter as well at Supercoach Guns. And we'll catch you Monday after all the major NFL action.